What's going on, Packers fans? Welcome into an all-new episode of the Pack a Day Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. You can find the podcast at Pack a Day Podcast. Joined once again by Mike Wahle. You can find him on social media at Mike Wahle68. If you missed our live chat yesterday, make sure to check that out. Really fun conversation and a lot of great questions from you guys that we got into and dug into in a deeper level. Also, today we are being presented by Luigi's Frozen Pizzas. Had my online shopping for the week and I got all of the fruits and vegetables. That's not true. I didn't order any of those, but got to the pizza section, immediately found the Luigi's Frozen Pizza and just was basically like, yep. Did the self-risers, did the ultra thin crust. Been stocking up on the Supreme ultra thin crust pizzas. Loving those. Make sure you're checking them out over at luigispizza.com and on social media at Luigi's Pizza. You are going to want to make sure that you are stocking up on plenty of victory pizzas this year because it seems like there's going to be a lot of victories for your Green Bay Packers. And with that, I bring in the one and only Mike Wahle. Again, you can find him at Mike Wahle68. Mike, great to be chatting with you. How you doing, my friend?
Doing well, Andy. Those pizzas sound pretty good, man. I got to get back on the pizza horse here pretty soon.
What I needed to do is when you were here is to hook you up with some of those. That is a failure on my end. I'm a terrible podcast host, but next time you're in town, I will definitely hook you up, my friend. We've got a lot to dig into because we had a pretty impressive Packers win over the Commanders. And of course, we're now looking ahead to week 3, Packers Browns as well. But let's just start with Packers Commanders. As usual, I will let you take the floor in any direction that you want. What were your key takeaways from that game?
A couple things. First of all, the difference now is we are seeing what Jeff Hafley wanted to do last year, which is be able to pressure with 4. And what does that look? What exactly does that look like? Well, watch the first 3 plays of the game. Right? It's like Devontae Wyatt beats the right guard first play. Sean Gary beats the right tackle second play. Micah beats the left guard third play. You're just going like, okay, this I understand what's happening now. This is a lot easier, right? And then what I love is they have really figured out with Quay Walker was a phenomenal blitzer in college. He was a phenomenal A-gap rusher. He was a phenomenal dog guy who could run stunts and run games with defensive linemen. And they are utilizing him to the fullest extent now. He looks like he's really developed not only in that area, but also as just a signal caller and a complete football player. So you love everything you're seeing with the defense. You love the way the secondary is playing. It felt like Hafley was in the play caller's back pocket for at least the first half of that football game, where the defense, they were just calling the right stuff at the right moment. Situational football just seemed spot on, obviously, and it allowed our guys to play aggressive. You see how just completely confident they are in what's happening right now. So you love all of that because when's the last time we saw that from the Green Bay Packers? We never get on a Green Bay Packers chat and talk about the defense first, right? In a positive way. And so this is a revelation, right? And you've got to be like, I really do think that defenses win championships, and the ability to get to the quarterback is one of the key factors of how far you're going to go in the playoffs. I know we're thinking way down the road now, but this is exciting. I mean, it's a really exciting team to watch. Offensively, they haven't quite. I mean, look, they're putting up points and they put up a ton of yards. They still really haven't figured out what they're doing. And I think that's exciting as well.
I agree. I was going to say the same thing. It's an exciting thing, actually.
Christian Watson's not even playing yet. They haven't figured out how to use Matthew Golden. Josh Jacobs hasn't had a big game, right? Like Tucker Kraft's our kind of go-to weapon right now, which is fantastic. But, it's like we've got some dudes on that side of the football, and we haven't had a healthy offensive line. So I'm like, if you're a Packers fan, or if you're in that organization and you just put it on 2 playoffs teams like you did, like really, really convincing wins, you got to feel pretty good about the momentum you're building. And then obviously we'll get into it later, but you're going up, to get, possibly 3-0 against a team, quite frankly, their hope is average at the beginning of every season.
I'm so with you. And to your point about the offense, now there's 4 teams that haven't played yet, but the Chargers would have to put up 27 points to get to where Green Bay is at right now. And they're the best case scenario. They are currently 6th in points scored so far in the NFL on offense. And like you said, haven't even remotely felt like they've hit their stride yet. Meanwhile, defensively, again, they are 4 teams that have not played yet. All 4 of those are ahead of Green Bay because they've only played 1 game. The only defenses right now that have played 2 games that are better are the Rams at 28 points allowed, the Falcons at 29, and then Green Bay at 31. So it's been a very impressive start to the season. I saw your tweet out there defensively where it said about the defensive front, they are a bleeping problem right now. That front, it's where everything begins with. I probably muttered it way too much this offseason, but one of the things that I said over and over and over was that if you really want to be a Super Bowl contender, a prerequisite to that is having a defense that can get there with 4 guys. And it was like, if you squinted enough and are maybe like, if Rashawn Gary copy and pastes his best career in the NFL and LVN really breaks out and Devontae Wyatt breaks out and maybe Colby Wooden, or I guess at the time, Kenny Clark kind of goes back to playing closer to his, I'm like, maybe you can get to that point where you have that front 4 that can really get after it enough. But it was still like you needed some things to happen. And now Micah Parsons comes in and you've got that dude. And now Rashawn Gary's the second guy and Wyatt's the third, and LVN, like everything just sort of feels like it clicks into place. Not to mention that Wyatt, LVN, and Gary are playing some good football as well. But like now everything just feels like it's really scary for opposing offenses.
Yeah, no doubt. Micah Parsons is a generational talent. I mean, just from a physical standpoint, and he just, there's obviously some energy. They played 2 games at home, and I think the energy that the fans have brought when he comes on the field is also really contributed to the success of the team so far.
Sure.
One thing that happens when you bring in a Micah Parsons or any of these really top guys, and you start game planning, it's the knockoff effect. Like first of all, he's playing out of his mind good right now. Like everybody's watched him play for years, and he's kind of even elevated. I think the speed of his get off, I think, he's really refined that. I don't know that he still doesn't really have that many moves, but he's just he out-humans you, and he out-humans every human out there. So, but what happens with these guys is when you start game planning, or you get worried about, are you going to be the one found out? He goes over the left guard, third play of the game, and you're just like, oh my God, this is not going to be good. What happens is once you get all those guys on the field now, and I'm going to include Quay Walker in that, or Edgerrin Cooper, either one of the guys, but they walk up and you go, okay, I don't really want to block any of these guys because now Lucas Van Ness isn't a good pass rusher against the left tackle, but he's a pretty decent pass rusher against the left guard that the team with the wide splits where it's going to run the ball. Like he looks a lot better in there, right? And the other thing that happens naturally is like you can run games, you can run pick stunts with the linebackers. And so what most offensive lines, the good players kind of set the same way or have a good understanding of situational sets. So if there's a guy in the gap inside of me, I don't want to set wide, for example. But a lot of the vast majority of the offensive linemen in the league are just kind of they're in like survival mode all the time. So they're just kind of setting like, oh, I think this will work this play. And they're not thinking about it like situationally. And so you see a ton of like really stupid sets in these games because they're scared. And when you get scared, you start making mistakes. Like I did, everybody does it.
Yep.
And the guys that are having like success, or that I guess the true litmus test for how great this defensive line is when they go play like the Eagles or somebody where they're like, yeah, these guys aren't going to get scared, right? And that'll be but there's only 2 or 3 of those teams in the entire National Football League. Yep. So you talk about literally everybody else. Like everybody else better lock and load, man, because they got some real problems here with this lineup.
So I want you to play offensive tackle here for a second, because there's this play where Micah Parsons is at defensive end and he looks like he's going to speed rush on the outside. And it's Connerly Jr., the poor first round rookie who I think is going to be really good, but that's a tough ask right away in week 2. He's going outside to kind of look like maybe protect the speed rush. And then Parsons steps inside and is like all of a sudden a full gap over in like the blink of an eye. It's like he teleports inside. And then all of a sudden, Connerly Jr. is 300 plus pounds trying to pivot back inside. He has to hold them. And the only thing it does is cause Parsons to get a half sack instead of a full sack, because now Edgerrin Cooper has the ability to get in there as well. Like I can only imagine when you say scared, that you are so afraid of him just beating you on the outside with pure speed that you're maybe oversetting to the outside. And then all of a sudden he basically like teleports on the inside. And now you've got, I don't know where you would begin, Mike. So like walk me through, you're playing right tackle against Micah Parsons. How do you?
Yeah. call timeout, right? So here's what happens. Michael Parsons, the first play of the game or early on, or you've watched him on tape, he gets in a 3-point stance and he goes straight up the field like a shot out of a cannon. And you're like, oh my God, was that fast, you know? And so what happens is guys don't trust their set. And so instead of trusting your set and going, you know what, I know I can kick back. I know I can maybe change my stagger to get my hips back to get off the line of scrimmage faster. Instead of trusting it, what they do is they go, and I did the same thing when I was young, I'm going to kick out and I'm going to try to hit him before he gets going. So I can basically, if he's going right here, I want to hit him and make him go that way just a little bit so he can't just go here, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like maybe you get that once. We call that short setting, right? So we short set the guy, and it's almost it's literally an all or nothing play. I either hit him or I give up a sack. And like with offensive linemen don't think about it that way. We're like, oh no, this is our technique. We're changing it. We talk ourselves, or the coach goes, oh, you got a short set. You know, they talk themselves into some nonsense because you don't trust your set. You're like, man, he's too fast. So inevitably, when you're doing that, your feet are like this, and you're just going, instead of going like 1, 2 and kind of trying to stay square and getting this good body profile, you go like 1, 2, and then as soon as this foot turns here or goes over, it's like you might as well just. It's called lookout block. You just turn on and go, look out, because like he's going to get mocked.
Yeah.
And then immediately inside, where'd he go? Where'd who go? The whole thing. You're playing Top Gun, and it's that's why it's a tough sport for an offensive lineman, because you're like, okay, the guy ran a 4.3. I ran a 5.3. Like what am I supposed to do here? And they won't let me hold him. And oh, by the way, like it's great for us because we don't really have this. We haven't had this player on defense for a long time, but the amount of like, I don't want to call it like meat riding that the announcers are with Parsons, that everybody's like, the camera's always on him. So like, he's going to get every single call that he can get, which is fantastic for the package. Right. But I'm an offensive lineman too. So I'm like, oh, come on, guys. Like, let's do something. Yeah, give me some help. But yeah, it's tough out there. It's tough out there when you're playing a player like this.
Yeah, it really is. And I don't know if you saw some of the still shots. You probably don't even need to see it. You're probably just seeing it naturally, not even needing the still shots. But like, there are the plays where he is like, even with the offensive line of scrimmage, and the offensive linemen are like not even halfway out of their stance yet. Like, it's just like, it looks like he's like completely offsides. Like he has to be offsides. Right. And then you go and watch it back and you're just like, no, the first step is literally that fast.
Here's the thing that was even like crazier to me. It's so loud in Green Bay that you have to go silent count, which you didn't always have to do. But all these teams, they don't use proper silent count. Like, so if you watch this game, like their tackles are like looking in at the center, and then the center's, it's just like, as soon as his head goes up, the ball's gone. So I have no advantage on you whatsoever. So if I'm going backwards, you're going forwards, and we're both kind of looking in, and I got to go like this, and then I got to go backwards and reorient my head and find you, who's probably already over there. It's like, you got no chance. And these teams aren't using like, okay, there's like a 1,001 time. There's no chance to like roll off the ball. And again, I'm a Packers fan, so I'm like, oh, this is cool, but I'm a lineman. And so I'm like, what are you doing against that guy that you would possibly think that was going to work? Right. So it's like I said, there's, do you have a violin? Because there's a lot of things I'd like to just feel pity on right now as an offensive lineman having to go against this group. They are really good. And it's, what's cool is Micah Parsons is as advertised, right? Yeah. All the hype, all the, sometimes we go, come on, like stop it already. No, he's that good. Like he's really making a difference in these football games.
I talked to somebody in the organization and they said, as good as he's been on the field, he's been better in the locker room, in the organization, as a person, everything. He's like lives, breathes football. And we've even seen it where like he's been so insanely complimentary of the city of Green Bay already, the locker rooms, the like everything, the facility. It just seems to be this perfect fit. That was the right guy at the right moment. And it seems like he needed this. The Packers needed this. And it's just fitting together. And I know we're still in a honeymoon phase with everything, right? Like everything's amazing right now. Let's see week 16, week 17 down the road, how the players feeling, everything like that. But right now it certainly seems like a move that has paid crazy dividends in already a very, very short period of time. What's going on, everybody? It is time to get our sleeper picks in for week 3. I can't believe it's week 3 already. Week 2 is in the books, and we've got Thursday Night Football. And let's be real, this is the perfect type of game to get your sleeper picks in for. It's one of the best teams in football in Buffalo versus one of the worst teams in football in Miami. And that's why it makes it a little bit more fun to have those sleeper picks on the side. I'm going to make this one super easy. I expect Buffalo to win big. Because they're winning big, I'm expecting that Buffalo is going to be able to run the football. Because they're down big, I'm expecting Miami's going to have to throw their way back into this one, or at least try to. For that reason, from Miami's standpoint, Devon Achane, 30.5 receiving yards. I think he's going to have to be a big part of this receiving offense. And I think you could see a variety of checkdowns to him, which allow him to get more than 30.5 receiving yards. Tyreek Hill, a lot of garbage time yardage. Buffalo up big. They try to get Tyreek Hill involved. He's still going to want the football. He's still going to want to get his yards. So I'm going more than 68.5 receiving yards for Tyreek Hill. And then last but not least, James Cook, 64.5 rushing yards. There should be ample opportunity for Buffalo to run the football in this one. And I like James Cook's odds of getting more than 64.5 rushing yards in this particular game. So to recap, Devon Achane, more than 30.5 receiving yards. Tyreek Hill, more than 68.5 receiving yards. And James Cook, more than 64.5 rushing yards. Of course, make sure to get those picks in over on Sleeper. Terms and conditions apply. So make sure to check out those conditions over on Sleeper as well. The link is in the description below. And remember that you can get a 100% match up to $100 by utilizing code PACKADAY. Again, a 100% match up to $100 by utilizing code PACKADAY. What are you waiting for? Get after it right now. Outside of the defensive line, which we know has been winning up front, and I know that just dictates so much of what you're doing on defense already, but it does also feel like everything deep is covered. Everything on the outsides is being broken up, with Keyshawn getting 5 pass breakups. The linebackers are immediately challenging every single check down. Even when you have a mobile quarterback like Jaden Daniels, there's nowhere to escape to. It feels like every button that you could press, the two teams combined right now have less than 100 yards combined rushing against Green Bay. It feels like no matter what button you are pressing offensively, that there is nothing that is capable of changing this defense right now. Like, I don't know, like, what is making it so successful?
Speed. I just think they're elite speed. They have you can sit here and argue that if you've watched the last 2 weeks of football, there's not a linebacker that's played better than Edgerrin Cooper.
Right.
I mean, there's not, maybe, there's guys that are, Fred Warner's still in the National Football League. Roquan Smith's still here. I watched, who's 6 that went over to Pittsburgh from
Patrick Queen?
the Ravens. Yeah, Patrick Queen was phenomenal yesterday, but they're not better than Edgerrin Cooper. And now, for the first time, Quay Walker's playing like you've always hoped he would play, as far as he's not tackling 9 yards down the line of scrimmage just because, the guy's coming at him. Like, he's taking on blocks. He's being aggressive. He just seems like a lot of it has clicked for him. The other thing that's happening here that is awesome is they drafted these 2 safeties last year. It was like, who's going to play, Evan Williams or Javon Bullard? Well, they figured out a way to get them both on the field with an all-pro in Xavier McKinney, right? So now you've got this group that can really, if you want to play a really kind of amoeba style defense, man match zone defense, you can do anything with those guys on the field. You're not losing anything. And by the way, both of those guys love to hit. Yep. They love to hit. They love to make tackles. They're downhill football players. They love to be in the box. They love to be close to the line of scrimmage. But the biggest difference for me from last year, last week it was Valentine and how he played the edge in the run game. And I think both those guys are doing a great job. But you see how the scheme and understanding what, like, Hafley's being in the bag of the offensive coordinator for the other team. You see what Keyshawn Nixon did this week, and it was like he is sitting on routes. And part of that is because they are calling plays like, the tendency things are working right now really, really well. Sure. And a lot of that is just a function of Micah Parsons and the pass rush, right? So Keyshawn can sit on the sticks on a 3rd and 5, where you usually can't sit on the sticks on a 3rd and 5. We just talked about it the last show, right? But you can sit now because those guys are not going to have any kind of time. And when you can do that, you are a very, very scary defense, especially if you got speed on the back end that you can cover up for. So there's a lot of good going on. I know you guys have this campaign against Hafley right now because you want to be a head coach, but man, he is. Listen, I don't know how he is as a head coach, but he's pretty damn good coordinator.
He really, really is. And yeah, I think he's going to get a job probably sooner rather than later. I think rightfully and deservedly so. Again, you never quite know how that's going to transition from coordinator to coach, but he's got the head coaching experience at Boston College, and everything I've seen from him, from individual coaching in practice to coordinating to press conferences, everything he's been pretty much A+ on. So, and I can imagine he probably interviews pretty well based on how he does in some of those press conferences as well. So we'll see. But yeah, we could be working on borrowed time for Jeff Hafley as defensive coordinator. Let's go over to the offensive side. I actually want to start with Tucker Kraft in this one. I think there's been this idea that Tucker Kraft could really break out in year 3 and show even more and be more part of the offense. Seems like we're kind of seeing that happen in real time.
Yeah, listen, he really showed, I think, in the last part of the season last year, that he was really good at run after catch. I mean, listen, once you get a tight end that's good at run after catch and he can block, it's like you've hit a home run.
Yep.
And the Packers hit a home run with him. And Luke Musgrave is, because of the injuries and everything, he's a little bit different type of player. We'll kind of see how he plays out and like what that rotation is with that second tight end. But Tucker Kraft is a very, very special guy. He seems to have that, I don't want to call it like the Gronkowski he just seems to have this little bit of swagger about him where it's like, oh, he's gonna throw guys to the ground with one hand. He's gonna run through tackles. He just kind of carries himself a certain way that you like to see. He's not like I remember we had Mike Gesicki, who plays for the Bengals. He's like a volleyball player that became an NFL tight end. It's like, and he's a good receiving tight end, but it's like, okay, but like the mentality is different, right?
Yep.
You got the guy with the mentality that you want here. And listen, as soon as he started becoming an avid blocker, you thought, okay, this is going to happen because he's going to be in the game all the time. There's no reason to ever take him out now. Like once that is a strength, then you keep the guy in the football game. And you saw this last week. Like Matt LaFleur does such a good job. And we saw this with a couple different teams right now with the safeties poking their nose in on that play action. Even, he was backed up, I think, shotgun, kind of shows it. 3 jets, all of a sudden he goes out to the flat and then gets his first 20-yard gain or whatever it was. And then, obviously they ran 4 fast on the 3x1 with him, and they switch release and he goes up the seam. And it's like, yep. Bobby and Frankie Lavu, who are like veteran linebackers, they both miss him. It's like, what, those plays happen because you're in the football game, because you do everything else so well, right? So it's with a guy like that, it really is this maturation process of like, you got to prove to us that you can do everything else well, and then we have no reason to take you out of the football game, and then you're going to get all these chances because he's really good after the catch.
Feels like every really good tight end has just a little bit of the right amount of crazy in them. It's not a bad crazy. It's just like a good crazy. Like Gronk has it. Kittle has it. Kelsey's got a little bit of it. And I think Tucker Kraft has a little bit of that as well, where it's like almost like they're seeking the contact. They want to run through your face and they're going to celebrate after the fact. He's got the little kip up that he does after. Like he's got like they're all like WWE persona type people. Like they have that factor. I just love watching them. And when you have that energy brought to that tight end room, and now he's doing all the other stuff too, it really is a weapon to have on offense.
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, it's my favorite position in football. I think there's so much you can do with it. You get the glory of catching the touchdown. You get to do all the dirty work. You can motion around. You get in the backfield. Like it is really a special position that not quite frankly, like not a lot of. I can't think of another position that just gets to experience everything that is offensive football, right? Like he does, and having a good one is, in my opinion, when we're looking at, I was just doing our roster for this German league, and I'm like, guys, it's like the biggest mismatch in football is having a tight end that can do everything. There's just no answers for it on the defense right now. There's only a handful of guys that have a Kyle Hamilton that's can literally physically keep up with that kind of player in the run and pass. They just don't exist. So, man, we are very lucky to have him. We talked about it in the last show, 12 personnel. Is it helping in the run game right now? Not really. But did it help in the pass game? Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. So, and how Matt LaFleur makes that decision on what am I going to prioritize from a personnel and schematic standpoint, run or pass is kind of one of those things that we don't really know about. It's a little black box, for him. But listen, whatever they're doing is working, and I love watching Tucker Kraft.
On the flip side, from going from a positive in Tucker Kraft, one of the bummers from this game was that Jaden Reed goes down with the injury. You now have to, kind of replace him. If there is one spot on this offense where you do have some depth, it certainly is at wide receiver. You're likely going to get Christian Watson coming back in these next few weeks as well. How do you sort of mitigate the loss of Jaden Reed on offense?
Well, that's definitely next man up, which is, I think, kind of the standard answer. But when you look at that room, it's like everybody's fighting for three spots, anyways. And
Yeah.
and I think we talked about this last week. It's like you kind of know who your top two guys are. If we're going to say Matthew Golden's already stepped into that top two role with Romeo Dobbs, right? And then I think you kind of were like, let's not even talk about Jaden Reed because we kind of know they want him on the field. But we're looking for that next guy. Is it Wicks? And Wicks shows up early in the game. Obviously, he was close on a lot of those deep plays. And so I think that you have not an embarrassment of riches, but you have a really good room there. And it's only going to get better when you involve Christian Watson. And then you think about all the kind of what his ability to take the top off the defense from a linear fashion is going to do to that room as well. And what kind of plays they're going to have him involved with. I just I don't think that Jaden Reed I don't think we're going to score less points right now because Jaden Reed's gone. I think he's a very, very important player, but I do think as we continue to kind of detail out this offense, which really has not played to its full capacity, I think that is going to kind of accelerate past this injury, and then when he comes back, obviously we'll be that much better.
Yeah, I think so too. And if anything, maybe gives Matthew Golden, Savion Williams a little bit more opportunity to get up to speed. And then again, as you get further into the season, you get Watson and Jaden Reed back. It just, again, maybe you at that point have an embarrassment of riches by that point. So yeah, it would be fun to see. And I'm excited to see maybe a little bit more of Golden and Williams in the meantime. We got to talk some Packers Browns as we get ready for week 3. On paper, it seems like a game that Green Bay should be well equipped to kind of take care of business in their first road game. But what are you watching for in this game?
I mean, there's only one guy to talk about of the Browns, man. It's Myles Garrett. And Myles Garrett is he's the best defensive player in football. I think he has been for the last couple of years. He just does things that don't even seem possible. He had a great game yesterday. Every game you watch him, you're just like the bend, the strength, the speed. He is. We've got Micah Parsons. They've got Myles Garrett. It's like, what's the difference? I'd say 30 pounds, and that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe Miles has better pass rush moves. He's like of all the freaks in the National Football League, he might be the biggest one. I'm excited to watch Mason Graham. I liked him in college. I don't know. To be honest, I haven't watched the Browns film yet, so I don't really know too much about believe it or not, Andy, as I'm assuming most of your fan base, I don't know how much film on the Cleveland Browns gets watched by just kind of even guys like us, unless your team's playing. It's not one of those teams you want to go watch, right? And they used to have a really good, really, really good offensive line. I think Conklin's hurt, but they've got 2 great guards. You're talking about Joe Flacco and all the situation with Shedeur Sanders and like that. Like that's almost the storyline over whether they even win or lose at this stage, But listen, Joe Flacco is always going to be a guy that can throw the ball around the yard. He's obviously not very mobile. I think that matchup, if we're just going to talk about their offensive line versus our defensive unit, like that actually is a very interesting matchup. I think they're going to target that right tackle again because Conklin's out. But you look at DeJuan Jones, he's quite frankly, he's gonna struggle mightily. I would think this weekend they're gonna have to help him. But that interior where Joe Bitonio and Wyatt Teller, those guys are still really, really good football players. So this will be a good test to see how our young defensive tackles, who have had 2 really good football games, it'll be interesting to see how they've evolved and kind of where they're at right now. This is a good litmus test for them. But I go back to it like the name of the game for this is like let's see how we deal, because I think Rasheed Walker's played really well this year so far. Let's see how we deal with Myles Garrett.
he got benched for portions of that Baltimore game. Maybe he was dealing with something, an injury stuff. He still played 60 some snaps in that game, meaning DeJuan Jones, sorry. But he got benched for a portion of that game. Again, maybe it wasn't benching, maybe it was a dehydration. I don't know, but he definitely got taken out for a bit in that game. And he has struggled quite a bit so far in the first 2 weeks of the season.
He's a big
Conklin
dude.
too. Yeah. Conklin too, being injured. We'll have to see how that plays out this week. But if they are not what they need to be on the offensive line, you just think that would be a huge advantage for Green Bay going up against at least their tackles. Their interior is a little bit better, of course. But and then on the other side, you just got to make sure Myles Garrett's not a one-man wrecking crew and, causing sack fumbles or forcing interceptions or things like that. You can stay away from turnovers in this one. You feel really good about it.
I just don't. This doesn't seem like an even matchup. I remember we had Vinny Testaverde playing with us in Carolina. He was like 41 years old, and I know that doesn't seem old now because Tom Brady was playing until he was 43 or whatever. But like Joe Flacco's old and he can't move, and he can do a lot of great things, but you can't do anything when you got people biting your ankles. And I just don't. Me personally, I have a hard time understanding how they're gonna get enough people out in routes, given the fact that they're going to have to probably keep 6 in every single play, if not 7, to get the ball off. A lot of short stuff, obviously, trying to get the ball out of Flacco's hands. Maybe try to establish a running game. I have no idea. You start trying to figure out like how are they going to lose this game? It's like you said, just don't turn the ball over. You don't turn the ball over, you're winning this game by a lot. I mean, I don't know what the spread's going to be on this one, Andy, but
what's your guess? I have it for you. What's your guess?
13.5.
It's actually way less. It's 8.5 only. It opened at 7.5 and it's 8.5 right now. Yeah. I like that too. I like that one quite a bit. I wish I would have got it at 7.5 to be honest, but yeah, I feel pretty good about this one. I just don't know. It's going to take a Herculean performance by the Cleveland defense in order to keep this one close, in my opinion, but that's why they play the games, I guess. Mike, final prediction for this one.
Yeah, so if I said 13.5, now I got to do some quick math. So that's got to be somewhere around, 31-17, something like that. I mean, I do think that the Packers get out. I think they established a running game this week. I think this is the week that they do it. I do think they score in the 30s, but I think probably that's a function of 2 turnovers on the defense, by the defense. And so I just don't know how you get out of the teens from the Cleveland Browns standpoint. They just have I think they're having a really hard time scoring points. I know they're in a good division. Yeah, 31-17. 31-17.
Yeah, need no Myles Garrett crazy plays and no stupid special teams plays from Green Bay. And if you can avoid just those two, I feel really, really good about this one. Mike, you are absolutely amazing. If anyone missed the live show with Mike yesterday, make sure to go check that out. We covered a bunch of stuff. I was going to talk about Anthony Belton and Jordan Morgan today, but we already covered that on the live show. So again, if you haven't already, make sure to do so. Where can we find all of your crazy and incredible work, Mike?
Twitter, MikeWall68. There's a Process to Perform channel on YouTube. I'll do a preview here, I think, in the next couple of days before this Browns game.
As you guys know, nobody breaks it down like Mike. He'll be back here next Monday as well for a live show and next Tuesday for our weekly episode as well. Cannot thank you enough. We will do it again very soon. Again, follow him at MikeWall68. Follow me at Andy Herman NFL. That's going to do it for us. But until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.